build on the last post that I made to talk about Black Lives Matter and how my whiteness and ignorance led me years ago when Black Lives Matter started to be one of those people that, and not one of those people. My first impression was, but all lives matter, and I hear that today. There's a lot of people who are hanging out, with that reality today, or pushing back, like. And I want to say something about it at the risk of getting slaughtered online. I want to say something about it, and that is that I feel like sometimes language can trigger people into missing the point, right? And I will say that for a few years, I missed the point. And it's because of the inherent whitewashing, white life privilege that I've had, that I didn't see what there was to see and didn't know the richness and depth of terror that's going on in this country against Black people. I truly believed that President Obama was evidence that we were moving through racism. I have not lived in places with any diversity most of my life. And that is because I've been in northern places near mountains or small towns. There just hasn't been diversity where I've lived. The amount that I've been exposed to any of these issues or discussions, is just so small. And so, I'm just explaining a bit of my ignorance. The lack of exposure is a huge part, I'm sure. But I innocently or naively or, with some cultural blinders on, believed that we were heading in the right direction. And of course, Donald Trump being elected was like giving a megaphone to something awful. And it's clear that he is a racist and he incites violence and gives a stage and an allowance to this perspective, this white supremacist perspective that I knew was inflammatory 4 years ago when he got the megaphone even bigger, the biggest megaphone there is, the presidency of the United States. But I didn't realize the possibility of the damage, and I didn't believe that there was so many people out there who might buy into some white supremacist life. It seemed like we were losing people. People were becoming more socially aware over and over, and that we were evolving consciously. And so there were going to be less and less people in extremist groups of all kinds, because we're opening and allowing and, whatever, coming together. This is truly where I've been. And I now see and really get through this movie, The Social Dilemma, how it happened, how out of control the fake news algorithms have spun to create this dystopia that we're currently embodying. But it's just important to recognize that there are negative forces. There are people with hate in their hearts who are perpetuating things, but there are also these algorithms and these forces that don't have a human conscious hand behind it. It's a machine that's perpetuating itself. And so the problem, obviously there's a huge problem with racism. Underneath, even still, in terms of how can we begin to address anything, is we have to figure out a place where we can have a baseline for a real conversation. We need a news source that is a trusted place for people to understand what the true news is and where the commentary begins. There needs to be a line there. And fake news, bias, I don't know how we as a country or a world, a global community, are going to move forward in this time until we find or create a way to connect on what's foundationally true, what the actual facts are. A friend reminded me this morning when we were talking about freedom of speech, yeah, we have the freedom to speak, but we don't have the freedom to scream fire in the middle of a crowded room. That's illegal. Well, I actually don't know how illegal that is, but it's wrong, and it's wrong in a way that we can all agree that it's wrong. And, it's the whatever, little boy cried wolf, but it's worse than that. And that's what Donald Trump is doing. That's what he's been doing. And by claiming that the election was rigged and that it was stolen, it's perpetuating this crazy message. And it's the algorithms have gotten a hold of the fake news, and it's going like wildfire. And so people are empowered to believe crazy things or difficult things because they're starting from a place of misinformation. And so how do we deal with that? There are a lot of conversations that need to happen all at once. There's a lot to say about whiteness and ignorance and privilege and the importance of meeting this moment and denouncing white supremacy and every possible white power movement as wrong and problematic. And there is more to this uprising right now, this Capitol uprising, rioting, than the white supremacists. There's the Qanon folks, and I don't even know what these people believe in. I know there's a 5G part to it. And I don't actually know where to go to get the news to find out the truth about what these folks believe. What I feel like needs to happen is we need to slow this conversation down and tease these many, many parts out and try to uncover together the bits of truth so that we can name them as such, and then do some investigation around what's real and have our opinions about what's right and what's wrong. But to be able to illuminate one thing is true together. This is a tangential monologue, covering a lot of ground. Let's see where it goes. I imagine it's going to start some fires. I guess I want to say, for those who feel more awakened or somehow more right than me, or you want to show me what's right about this or how I'm missing something, my invitation is to try to do so in a way that holds the acknowledgement of my humanness and my good intent. Let's practice heartfelt communication. Let's start with that. Let's commit there. Thanks.